Hey everybody, this is B-Word of the Bleach Brothers podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I want to bring your attention to our Linktree. Please visit Linktree/Bleach Bros podcast for the links to all of our socials, streaming sites, and merch. Linktree is linktr.ee/Bleach Bros podcast, all one word. If you enjoy our content, make sure to give us a like and give us a review on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Also, invite your friends. And with that, let's get started with the show.
This is Tommy Thompson from Kenny B's ESPN Sports Handicapping show presented by William Hill down here in Reno, Nevada. I have the pleasure of joining Jake on the Bleach Brothers podcast, and unfortunately, I got to be stuck with a Cowboy fan with my man B-Word.
I'm a logic boy. Using logic.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word, and as usual, I am here with my good buddy Jake, man. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. Busy holidays, busy week, busy work, busy life. Lots of podcasting, lots of your face.
I know.
But I'm good, man. I'm good. Anything new on your... Because we usually talk about me and it's something crazy, like, you know, I peed on a midget or something happened. But, like, what's going on new in your world?
I've learned a lot about this relationship that I just sit back and I listen and I go, and then we did our episode with Ben, and he said the exact same thing, that he just kind of lets you talk. And so we don't need to change things, man. This is our relationship. Just keep going. It's totally fine. I will tell you that the holidays were good. As kids get older, it's much different in the holiday season, but overall, good. I'm happy to be going into 2023. This will be our first episode of 2023, and we had a hell of a time in a good way meshing up with some podcasters and some different talent and guests and whatever coming on our show. And to kind of transition that, we've actually got a guest on our show, your friend, Jake, although
one of my friends again, Jordan, always my friends.
Jordan and I, J-Rob, we've become friends too, so I'm not going to discount.
I was going to say, you can't use that anymore. We are friends. You can't use that anymore, Jake. You had it earlier. Fine. It's done. It's done.
Yeah, my friend who Jake introduced me to is, so we've got J-Rob here from the Cover O podcast. And then Jake, you know, one of the things that you pointed out to me is that J-Rob actually has a Facebook post end of year. And you kind of want to talk about that real quick?
J-Rob always at the end of the year and the middle of the year sometimes, I could be wrong. Tell me if I am.
Correct.
And we would get into not debates, but you would post up with a bunch of people. Let's talk about the top albums of the year and the top rap albums. And we'd get into singles and all that. And you would tag me and I would give my input. And it was just a fun little debate of us all going back and forth, introducing music to each other, but then like opening up to each other and be like, yeah, I'm into this. Here's what I like. Here's what I don't. And it just seemed like a good end of the year show to do a few things. We started with the Everlasting Jukebox last year. We figured, why not bring it back and do it for the end all be all of the year, but also J-Rob behind the scenes, now that you're buddies with B-Word and you talk and we've been friends and we've talked about these things. I know you don't always want to talk sports. And I figured it'd be a good break for you to come on here and not just be our sports guru for football that comes on, but also let's break down some fucking music and what we were having our eardrumbles like bang to. And so that's the whole main reason behind this.
I'm so excited for that. So excited for that.
And actually, I'm just going to bring it back to sports here real quick, because the last time that we had you on our show, and then we'll get off of this, we had you for our NFL season preview, where we talked about who is going to win each of the divisions, who's going to win each conference, who the Super Bowl predictions were. How did that work out for you, J-Rob?
Well, I had in one prediction, I had the Chiefs winning it. I had the Rams representing the NFC as well in one of them. Yeah. That didn't work out well. Talking about the Raiders in particular, I did say on your guys' show that I want to find out if Derek Carr is the guy or if Derek Carr is a guy we can move on from. I mentioned at the beginning of the season the contract that he has that's basically a trap door that's built into it. We can cut bait after 1 year before having to pay this guy $34 million next season, 43 after, 44 the year after that. Like, now we can exercise that trap door. To me, though, it sucks because I think the worst part of the whole Raiders situation is that Josh McDaniels is there. Yeah. So we got that much. Yeah. And also, like I did say, I told you Dak is better than Derek Carr. as well.
Well, and I said that Dak was a top 10, and everybody else on the show except for you kind of threw some shade at me, and that was
Dak
there.
Is
but
top 10.
he's definitely top 10. And then I said that Kirkers is top 10. But where I just want to brag here real quick is my Super Bowl prediction was the 49ers would face the Bills, and the Bills would win their first Super Bowl. And every every division prediction that I've had, -1 or 2, has actually hit, which I'm never happened. So I have to brag for a moment. Jake put all of his love behind the Houston Texans, if we'll remember that.
I will never forget it.
Fuck yes, go Texans,
it was
baby.
They're
still doing good, right?
The draft day prediction. So I just wanted to revisit that. So for our listeners who are wondering why your voice is familiar, you've heard J-Rob on our Super Bowl special, and you've heard him on the NFL preview show, and you'll hear him again when we start to get into the Super Bowl next year. But tonight we're going to have a lot of fun. We're not going to talk sports, and we're going to talk music. And I feel like there's going to be a little bit of debate, maybe not between each other, but I know for me, trying to narrow down some of these topics has been really, really tough because we're coming out with lists, right? And there's a lot of shit that's being left off the list. So I want to kind of go into our first thing here. Jake, earlier this year, I believe it was this year, or maybe it was the middle of last year, you came up with the idea of the everlasting segments. And we've done some everlasting jukeboxes recently, but not really as in-depth as this. Can you kind of refresh our listeners as to what the everlasting jukebox is?
So the everlasting segments are always where you take something and you put it in a forever like time capsule, if you will, or a vault. The everlasting jukebox is we came up with the first one was the music that was us. Like how would you describe if you had a jukebox sitting in your living room the best albums of all time that you'd put in there? So tonight it would be the top 10 rap albums of 2022 that we would put in our jukebox, and the top 10 albums of 2022, and then we're also going to throw 3 singles in there of what we would put into our everlasting jukebox that we would have for people to listen to and recommend. And I think it will get a little crazy because, B-Word, if I'm honest, you've said this a lot. You're not into new rap.
No.
And I think that one would be hard for you. I mean, I had a hard time, and I think J-Rob had the hard same as me of just putting these in order because I like things in order, and you don't have to, but like going through the top 10 of like, what do I really think is album number 1? What do I think is album number 2? Jared, what was the hardest thing for you coming up with this list?
The hardest thing with the hip hop albums specifically, because that's why I separate it, first of all. I separate it with hip hop albums because I'm always going to lean that way. So recognizing my own bias in music is what I do with that. And then I make non-rap because otherwise it's too tough for me. I don't get to certain things. But the toughest thing for me, honestly, the top 7, I had my usual self-battle with mental debate. And then I was able to concrete that. I was able to make that solid. But then going from 8, 9, 10 with a mix of 6 or 7 albums. While also, I got to tell everybody, from a rap perspective, I have not heard the Absol Herbert album. I have not heard West Side Boogie's Black Superheroes album. So it's like all these things that I needed to sit here and like deal with. So the toughest part was just, what am I leaving out? It's not necessarily what's 8, 9, 10, but I guess to answer the question in a short way, what am I leaving out? And that was the hardest.
B-Word, you?
I think for me is that, you've already brought it up in a sense where I love rap and hip hop. I don't get into new rap and hip hop as much as other people. And it's not because I don't think that there's great lyrics, great creativity, great beats, any of that. I am very much biased to the old school hip hop. Like Tupac, Biggie, Ice-T, Dre, Cube, Nas, Jay-Z. I mean, we're talking about a whole bunch of talent back in, the early 90s all the way up to the mid 2000s that I identify more with that because I was listening to it more then than I am listening to, let's say, Pusha T or Drake or some of the newer ones. So for me, the hardest part with this is that I put in the research. And so I spent a lot of time listening to hip hop albums. And I think that mine are going to be all over the board because they're my own preferences. So there's some albums that you guys might enjoy that I don't like. And there's going to be others that I like that maybe you don't. And so it's kind of all over the board for me.
See, I had 2 big problems this year. One is a forever going problem. And I'll relate it to the Super Bowl effect too, where when something new comes out, whether it was this month, of course, I'm probably going to like it more because I'm really listening to it. I'm really into it. And I have a hard time disconnecting and going back going, oh shit, that came out in February.
There's so much music, bro.
Exactly. But it's also the fact, like, what am I listening to now? Now, the ones that make that list though are the ones that I didn't forget that I'm like, oh yeah. But the other problem was this was a hard year for music. And I think it's been the last few because a lot of things got pushed back during all the bullshit that happened with COVID and all that. And then also I feel like a lot of things have fell off unlike the way they used to. And so I had a hard time discerning too, like, oh, I really like that album. And then I'd go back. Like for example, like I'm a big fan of Zillakami, right? Dog Boy, but that came out in 2021. And so I had to remember that because I listened to that a lot and I was like, oh yeah, that came out in 2021. It doesn't make the list. And so it's things like that I'm like, fuck, like trying to make sure that I was also in the parameters of the rules. And so I think that was also hard because I felt like the beginning of the year, there was good music coming out. And then the summer I was excited and it was good, but I was so excited for the fall and I feel like I got let down in all genres, like a lot of music. Like I was expecting some better stuff to come out, like in the sense of things I was excited for. Like for example, Slipknot was coming out with a new album. I'm a huge Slipknot fan.
I didn't even know that.
And it wasn't that great of an album. Like, is it terrible? No, but it was one of those things I hyped. I was excited. It came out and I just went, and I felt like between July and October, I had a lot of that. And I think that really affected the rest, like trying to go through this too at these lists. But those were my two problems. But I mean, that's besides the point. I mean, it's also fun just to go back though and re-listen and be like, did I really have a good effort on this? Did I really enjoy it? There are some albums, there's one on my list that I turn on and I don't think there's anything wrong sometimes with a band when they come out with almost everything sounds the same, but it's enjoyable because you can listen to it for an hour and go, holy shit, I got through that whole album. It was amazing. I didn't skip a track. I looked up and I'm like, oh, I'm on song 7 and I'm working. And it's just, there are things like that. And then sometimes I get another album and it's like, I want that the difference every track. I want to be able to discern it and not be like a Tool album that I throw on and go, oh, it's 18 hours long and it sounds like one giant song.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun. This type of homework is always nice because you really evaluate it, and it also opens up to people of how you are and why. And it's those debates where you're not wrong. You can't be wrong. Nobody can sit. Yep. Yeah, nobody can sit in here and go, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Like you might, draft day. You guys can shit on me all you want, but I mean, you could be like, "Hey, why do you think that's top album?" For me, I can listen to it all day. And those are rules that go into this for the everlasting thing. If I can listen to it on repeat, if I enjoy it, if there's discernibility, any factor I want, it can go in my everlasting jukebox forever. And I hope you guys took it that way too. And it's just a very open and opinionated thing. And that's how I felt your post was, J-Rob. It wasn't to post and be like, these are the top 10 albums. Let's fucking argue it out. It's like, let's just hear each other out and say why. And you might say, I think this is 7 and you think it's 8. Like, you know me, I'm a big Logic boy. I fucking love Logic. And we've had those talks. But that's just a guy that I enjoy. Any album comes out, I really enjoy the music he puts out. And do I say they're the greatest albums ever? No, but are they probably going to be in the top for me? Yeah, because I can just enjoy his music.
So first off, you started to confuse me when you said that you're a big Logic boy. Because I took it as number 1, you're a boy, but number 2, you're actually stating that you use Logic. And then I remember, oh no, he's the white rapper. And so
he's mixed. He's mixed just like me. If you listen to him enough, he will tell you in about 37
that's all
seconds
he tells you, though.
That he is mixed. I am biracial. I am biracial. I am biracial. Like that's what, like, bro, like I get it, Jake. I get it. I do. But I'm with you, B. At first, I was like a Logic boy. It doesn't really go, Jake. But then, oh yeah, he does like Logic. I remember this about him.
Yeah, it took me a second to catch the wheels up in my brain when I was like, wait, Jake uses Logic? What is this about? So I don't think that we're going to be able to get through all of our lists before we start to take a break. So why don't we take a break right here and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Bleach Brothers podcast. So we are doing best hip hop albums of 2022. So we're not reaching back. We're not turning the calendar backward. We're not going to 21. We're not trying to forecast albums that are coming out next year in 23. J-Rob, you're our guest. When we do our lists, Jake's very much of an order guy and I'm not. But if you have these in order, let's go ahead and start with your number 10 best hip hop album of 2022. What do you got?
when it comes to hip hop albums, when it comes to lists, I have to make an order. Like Jake, he knows that. This is what he was talking about with that post. I definitely make an order. My number 10 spot goes to Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morale, and the Big Steppers. On the Kendrick catalog, it's not my favorite. Of course, it's Kendrick, so there's a lot of things you can pull from it. Jake and I have talked before about We Cry Together and being able to replay that song. That's something I will never, ever visit again on an isolated track stance. So beyond that, really, it's just there is still a lot of what Kendrick brings to the table, talking about Black trauma, recovering from it, living through it, self-reflecting through all of that processes, and just being an imperfectly perfect example of a person who is this famous and this talented as a rapper, but still has a groundedness to him that's a real person. And that still is conveyed on this album. And it's awesome. I think it's crazy to think that this album is 10 for me. But overall, the reason why it's not higher, just quickly, there's some lulls in it. There's a lot of tracks I don't go back to. There's a lot of things that I maybe 5 to 4 of them can fit in on a playlist. I'm playing it for others just for vibe reasons. And that's why it is where it is rather than higher. But very, very good album. Kendrick, again, just putting together a solid project.
Jake, what do you have for number 10?
It's the same one. No joke. Kendrick Lamar's was my number 10. I think it's because it's not my favorite album of his. It is funny because we would have a debate. I love that fucking track, We Cry Together. It reminds me of the track with Eminem and Kim. Mm-hmm. That was another one I could fucking listen to over and over, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but I like things that can make people uncomfortable and think outside of that. Stop tap dancing around the problem. That it is a great acknowledgement and openness to him on that album. But would it be the top album of the year? No. Is it his best album, as I said? No. But it deserves to be in the top 10 for me because I did revisit it a lot. And also it was because of some confusion to make sure I really understood what he was trying to do on that album. Not that I totally do, but sometimes I'll re-listen. It's like when you reread a book to make sure, did I miss something here? What is this about? What is he trying to say here? How do I feel about it? Or do I disagree or agree? And that was very poignant to me with him, is really going back to an album and really thinking about it instead of just, sometimes, to be honest, on this list, there's albums I just turn on and just enjoy it. And Kendrick always makes me think. And so that is my number 10. It is funny that it's the same as J-Rob's, but that's where I felt. Yeah.
Kendrick didn't make my top 10. I did not like that album. And it's not that I didn't feel like it wasn't artistic enough or it wasn't, didn't have a good message in it. I just had a hell of a time trying to relate to it. And it could be cultural differences. It could be different points of view. And so for me, I'll take the blame on that. But it just didn't tickle my fancy enough to say, okay, this is going to go in our top 10 or my top 10. And so I didn't put it in there. I love Kendrick. I think Kendrick is a phenomenal artist, but maybe next year. My number 10 is actually JID, The Forever Story. I really enjoyed this one because JID is an Atlanta-based rapper. He comes across to me more as a lyricist than a musician, and I love that about him. He just really, the bars that he talks about, the lyrics that he talks about the things that are important to him, almost in the same way that Kendrick did with Kendrick's last album. He talked about a lot of the struggles that he lives in society and culturally and all that sort of stuff. But I just really got a lot out of that album. And like I said, this has been one that I've had to put a lot of research in it and time just listening into some of these albums. And I found that this one's been replayed a couple times. So I really enjoyed this one.
Number 9, J-Rob.
Number 9, Smino, Love for Rent. I think this was an album when you asked me to do this podcast, Jake. I think you were like, hey, you want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. And I had just heard this album or was in the process of hearing it from the beginning to the start, or from start to finish. And the vibes that Smino reaches, he's a R&B singer, but also has like this melodic rap to him. It's very interesting style. Sometimes you can't pick up the lyrics. A lot of his tempos and cadence and melodies this guy can catch are super melodic. And this was a really good atmosphere for him to find room within, all this process. The Dreamville Coalition had a really good year. Smino was just another part of it. And I just think the instrumentation that this guy is including, the vibes, and almost this wavy, it's almost like a wavy chill playlist you can use. If you're painting a room and you're doing something that's rhythmic, but maybe not, physically stressing, you could throw this on, and the compliment that it provides to that room is amazing. And I always find that you throw this on, you're cleaning something up, cleaning a car, painting a room, like you said, Jake, working for super long and not realizing how far you are through an album. This is definitely one of those in the hip hop category. So I got to give it to Smino. Love for Rent.
Nice. B-word.
I've got Drake and 21 Savage, Her Loss. So I felt that Drake and 21 Savage, they actually have a really, really good team up, if you will, if we're talking about them being on their own album. I kind of felt like this was a Jake to a B-word and a Bleach Bros, if I can make that assumption, or like a Stan Lee to a Jack Kirby and Marvel. I just felt like that there were things that Drake does that 21 Savage doesn't do. There are things that 21 Savage does that Drake doesn't do. Their voices don't overlap each other. They're two distinct voices. And the songs on it, they were fucking awesome. So I really enjoyed this one. So Drake and 21 Savage, Her Loss is my number 9.
I'm going to butcher this name. Please help me out here, J-Rob. But CEO, is it Trele?
I don't know.
Okay. So CEO Trele, this is also a mixtape.
How do you spell his name?
It's CEO, like CEO, and then it's Trayle. But HH5
might be Trail.
His newest mixtape. I can't, maybe. I don't know. I was hoping J-Rob knew, because I don't know the guy's name, but I like his fucking music. And I'll be honest with you guys. I actually found this a few weeks ago. And the reason was, when I was doing homework, I was just like turning on stuff, and he popped up on my Spotify random when I was listening through music. And I was like, fuck yeah, found this. And I fucking like it. It's a really good mixtape. It's a lot of fun. I love the artwork. It's got the Scream mask on it, but I would recommend it. Is it the highest one on there? No, but it was a fun find, and I enjoy his stuff. Like I said, I feel like it's almost cheating, and tell me if I'm wrong here, J-Rob, when it's a mixtape.
No.
Because he also came out with an album, but I mean, I think it's one of those genres that just makes sense. So that would be my number 9.
Just to me, how I do it is, is it a project? Is this an original project? Did you put your work in it? You know what I mean? Sometimes there's different legalities that go into mixtape, but if it's a project of his, yeah, for sure.
Well, if you guys haven't heard him, check him out. I mean, it might be your thing, it might not, but I really dug it. So I'll jump into my number 8 though, because it's funny, and it is Smino's Love for Rent. And the reason is
bro, Jake copied me, bro. Jake's copying my list.
No, I will say,
Jake's copying my list. He's
you.
copying me.
No, this is because of you, because you sent me this when we originally booked this, because we booked this a while ago. Yep. And you're like, oh, I can't get enough of this. And I was like, I haven't even fucking heard of this guy. And you're like, Jake, go check it out. So I did. And then me and you sent a couple tracks like, oh, I'm digging this one. You're like, oh, check this one, back, like a tiny bit of back and forth. But yeah, is it the highest one? But it was due to your recommendation that I found it and found myself really enjoying it.
Awesome.
Still not the highest, but that was a good album. And it was funny because I had it at number 8, and I'm thinking, as soon as you said number 9, I'm like, thank God I didn't have 10 and 9 in a row, because then I would be copying your homework. But it was almost there. It was all, and so that's why I had to jump in to say, okay, I'm just going to be honest here. That's right there. So let me just move on, because you said enough about it.
Look at that political strategy. Get out in front of it. Look at that.
That's it. That's it. That's PR Jake right there.
Sure is.
Yep.
All right, J-Rob, what do you got for number 8?
Number 8, Saba, A Few Good Things. So Saba is a Chicago-based rapper, and he has put out. He's worked with J. Cole. I'm not sure if he is on that Dreamville. That's a bad hiccup on my part if he is or isn't. He works with a lot of them very frequently. He's been featured on the Dreamville mixtapes. I don't want to say he is, but he put out an album that is very descriptive of where this kid came from. He's gotten a lot more creative throughout the process of his career. I think this is his 3rd overall project. And the reason why I have this one here, he creates soundscapes of where he was from, the things he used to do, times where he had things in his life, but maybe had less money than he does now, and how then at that point in his life when he was younger and he had like a good family and a lot of good friends around him and just to play, comfort and where he felt right, but it wasn't as rich, that at that time he had everything he needed. Now he has more access to things and he necessarily doesn't feel that way all the time. It's a really interesting, introspective album overall. He, of course, has his ones where he gets really rhythmic, like I was saying about Smino. Speaking of which, Smino's on a track with 6 Black on this album. What's it called? Still Dope. Right before that, I was listening to this album with my brother, and Miles was telling me, he's like, hey, you know what? I want to hear Saba on a track with one of the Bone Cats. The next song on this album is with Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. He's on this one too, and it sounds very good. You might like this, B-word, being a fan of somebody in the old school reign.
Let me just tell you what my number 8 is. Swear to God. Saba, A Few Good Things.
I love it. I love it. My one thing I want to say on this album before you go, the one thing I have to say, Black Dot drops what's probably the verse of the year on the very last track. A Few, the title track of the song. That is chef's kiss.
I think that when you said that this was probably something that I would like, just because I'm into that old school hip hop, that's what I felt like this was. I felt like this was somebody telling me a story about themselves with their environment. And I love the fact that you talked about like the soundscapes that you were talking about made this album. I think you did a phenomenal description on this, but that was I'd never heard of this guy, to be honest with you, before I started doing some of this research. I fell in love. I thought that this was a great album. So that's my number 8. So you did a great job on that.
Saw him live in the Peters Room at the Roseland Theater 4 years ago for like $17. No, longer than that.
That's fucking awesome.
6 years ago. 6 years ago. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Jake, what's your number 7?
Number 7 is Jack Harlow, Come Home, the Kids Miss You.
God damn it.
It's a fun. Here's the thing. I had a hard time because I've had this talk with you on the side, and I'm just going to sidebar this real quick, J-Rob, of what's the difference between hip hop and rap, right? And I think we've given good descriptions in our own right. And I think your description's better than mine. But to me, this was just a fun album. It had a really good single, but it was one of those ones like I could throw on, and I just found myself like bobbing my head. It's almost like the time when I listened to Jonas Brothers and I actually liked it. And I was like, why the fuck do I like this? That's how I felt about it. Like, why am I digging this so much? But I liked the album because I got it. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. Didn't think I'd like it as much as I do, but I've listened to it a lot. And so it's on my rotation. So that's why it's there, to be honest.
No, I hear it. I mean, let me ask you a question about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Is it there because of the producer or is it there because of Jack Harlow?
Mainly the producer. Mm-hmm. I'll be really upfront there. I like, it's one of those things. There are times I could just listen to the instrumental and be happy. I think that's how I feel. Like, I'll just be honest. His lyrics are unmemorable.
Right,
to me,
of course.
Unless it's a hook.
True.
And so I found myself bobbing my head, as I said, working, looking up, going, I'm enjoying it, but I'm enjoying the beat. I'm enjoying the sounds. I'm enjoying all that. It's there. I think it's better than some of the albums that I put below it, of course, but it's also because of re-listenability.
Sure.
But to be honest, it's mainly the producer. Like I said, I think his lyrics are very forgettable in the sense I'm not trying to be rude about it, but there are other people on my list higher that put more thought into lyrics or have more compounding feeling. And so that's why it's 7. I can't make it lower because, like I said, how much I went back to it, but yeah, that's where it is.
Nice.
J-Rob, what about you?
Number 7, Simba, Results Take Time.
That's a new one for me. I don't think I've heard that one.
SYMBA. I want to say he's from I got to do better at remembering where all these guys are from. I have not heard of him until this year. I need to be honest about that. Big shout out to my guy, Asante Wilson. He's the one who put me on this album, and I never knew who he was. And when I was on my trip through California, the sports trip that I went on, he ended up performing at halftime at the Warriors Arena. But I didn't actually even get to see him. I was going to get beer, of course, but just kind of a cool little link-up option. But anyway, Simba, Results Take Time. He did this album with, was it DJ Drama? And there is this mixtape feel to it in the sense that I don't know if you guys used to download rap music in the early 2000s from Napster, LimeWire, etc. And you'd have like the DJs, this is the remix, results take time, blah, 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 and like just yelling out stuff in the background. You hear this maybe once a track, not to where it's like dominating the song, but just once a track to kind of remind you, to throw you back to that reminiscent old style of hip hop. And that's all over this album. This guy is his cadence don't switch up. What he says is memorable. What he says means things. Like the way that this dude does have a way of speaking so direct that you hear it and it digs and it punctures and it goes. But is he going to like turn up the club? Not really. But he sounds good. And I think he definitely deserves a spot on this top 10. And the reason why I told you guys the hardest part, number 7, I was good. I knew what that was. And that was because this album was so powerful. So Simba, Results Take Time.
I'll check it out for sure. 100%. My number 7 is probably, I had a debate on whether I was going to put this on the list or not, because is it hip hop? Is it not hip hop? I think it's debatable. So you guys can kind of correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've got Action Bronson, Crocodilo Turbo. And I just rocked the shit out of this album. Action Bronson is actually a really good listen. I love artists that you can feel the lyrics that they're talking about. And I feel like Action Bronson, no matter if it's a happy track, sad track, angry track, whatever, you feel the emotion that he's putting in through the words within the song. And I really enjoy that with him. So for me, this one was a fun one. It was a quick listen for me. It was one of those ones that I didn't even skip any songs. Not that all the songs I think are like the greatest songs, but he's got some really good tracks on there. But it was one of those that I was able to listen the whole way through without even worrying about turning it off.
Okay. Well, what's your number 6 then, B? We'll just go right into it.
So my number 6 is actually Jeezy and DJ Drama, Snowfall.
Good one. It's a good album.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great album. I thought it was fun. It's funny when you said DJ Drama because I remember downloading those LimeWire songs and you hear that DJ Drama and you're like, holy shit. Yeah, it brought back some memories. This one is actually a really good album. I had a lot of fun with this one. I felt like it was old school enough, but it also brought in the new school for me. And it introduced me to some different beats, some different tracks. I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. Again, this is not my primary mode of music at the moment. And so a lot of these albums took me on a journey that I was unprepared for. And I really, really enjoyed this album.
Okay. J-Rob, number 6.
Number 6, 2022, Conway the Machine.
Oh, thank God. I was going to say Donda 2, no.
No. Conway, God Don't Make Mistakes. Conway the Machine of the Griselda Collective. I don't know if you guys know who he is or have heard of Griselda, but he developed cerebral palsy from a gunshot and was told that he wasn't going to live, potentially. He ended up living, but he has like his face is it shows a big example of cerebral palsy. His half of his face is like turned up, and so he talks out the side of his mouth. And sometimes, without knowing this guy's story, like how rappers can talk out the side of their mouth, or something like that, or that's just his face. Like this is what happened to this guy, and he's never really addressed it, nowhere near to the level that he did on this album here. This guy he's an older member, older rapper. I think he's around our age. He's sold drugs throughout New York, northern area, Buffalo, and that area. And he's got picked up late in his career, and they just put out project after project. And this is the first one where he actually really talked about his life, and in ways that blew me out of the water. He used to just be a guy you want to hop on. Is going to have some bars that are really cool, creative double entendres. His flow is so super sharp and segmented. His rhyme scheme is crazy, but he never really dug into anything that like people can just relate to topic wise. He did that on this album through his own experience and the background that he gets here, just through their producer Derringer. It's amazing. It is really like, damn, this happened to this guy. 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 And here he is. And this was nothing that he really rode to get to where he is. This is just who he is. And that's the dopest part.
Nice. Jake, what's your number 6?
Rock Marciano and the Alchemist. The Elephant Man's Bones. Great storytelling. Great drum. I mean, just a fun album that doesn't feel like it's always in this era, if that makes sense. Like it belongs in different stylistic, like other mediums. Mm-hmm. But very, very good album. I enjoyed it. This was one of those ones, another one, trying to do homework, searching out stuff and finding new things. I love going and finding new music, something I never really got into and then fell in love with it. So that was my number 6. Funny, Conway the Machine, God Don't Make Mistakes was my number 5. And who you were talking about with the cerebral palsy, that was the main reason too. I honestly, when I first watched him, I was like, oh, that guy talks out of the side of his mouth and he does that Southern rapper thing. Oh, and I was just like, oh, and then I fell in love with the story, but I loved that fucking album. That was a killer fucking album. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jarob, that it actually got into things deeper than before. I've always been a Conway the Machine fan just because it was like a guy you threw on, like you said, and you just listened and had bangers and just was like awesome. This felt more. That's why it got so high on my list. So that was my number 5. Didn't mean to jump ahead, but it just made sense because here we are again. I'm copying homework, but that's where I'm at.
That's awesome.
I don't mean to cut off J-Rob here, but my number 5 is The Elephant Man's Bones. So,
Nice.
I mean, we're kind of all right in that same vein here. So not to get a little bit more descriptive on this than Jake gave, but I really just enjoyed that album quite a bit. The storytelling in that album is what I fell in love with. So J-Rob, what's your number 5?
Before I get to my number 5 quickly, Elephant Man's Bones was one of the ones I wrote down, but did not make my top 10. Alchemist, awesome. Rock Marciano, that dude's pen, his ability to write is insane.
It's outstanding.
You'll be like, is this the god? To me, the thing that just turns me off from Rock Marciano, or not, I don't want to say turns me off, that's the wrong word, because I always look out for him. I just would have him higher if he had more mix up of cadence and flows and oomph. And, you know, that's the only thing. That's the only thing. Anyway, top 5. We'll move into it. Earth Gang, Ghetto Gods.
Never even.
I haven't heard of that either.
Another Dreamville group. It's a pair of guys that on J. Cole's Dreamville group, and they've made several songs that border on, like, they are hip hop for sure. These dudes rap, but they have vocal talents, inflections, presences of reggae, island music mixed into it. They partner up with different, you know, reggae, African island artists, etc., to make things, and their vibe always is like very, very hip hop that can brush into the vein of island music. And the combo that they capture here is awesome. They have a song on here. They have features from Music Soul Child, right? They have feature, and it's over a Music Soul Child beat that their producer sampled and flipped to like this really dope new song. They have CeeLo Green on a song with Nick Cannon called Power. I mean, this album just it goes. They've got Jid on a track, B-Word, as you were mentioning. He's on there as well. I mean, Ari Lennox, Currency, Wiz Khalifa, right? It goes on and on and on. And just the vibe that you hear, the bouncing, the way it moves from melody to mode is dope. And this is really an album that if you like beats within hip hop, you like variants within music, check this out.
Fantastic.
Cool.
So we've gotten through number 5. So J-Rob, let's get your number 4.
Number 4, Lupe Fiasco, Drill Music in Zion. Well, I mean, what more can we say about Lupe at this point? To me, this guy has entered the top 10 all-time rappers, to me, dead or alive, period. Okay. He is there for me personally. I understand this is not a shared opinion with a lot of people, but why this album he made in, was it 48 hours, 50 hours, something like 72 hours, 3 days. He made it with a $100 microphone and GarageBand, and he recorded it in 72 hours.
I feel like our podcast is being attacked here because that's exactly what we do.
I make them too. Ours is longer than 72 hours. We don't come out with nothing this great. I mean, but anyway, like it's incredible what he does with this. He extends on a track called Precious Things where he's talking about, you don't know what he's talking about to the end. He's talking actually about his hands, how he don't use them to write raps anymore. He has, I don't know if you've listened to Lupe Fiasco before, but he has other topics about like these paintings he does, mural. He has like a conclusion to that track. It's mostly just about the people in us, the duality that exists within us. That's mostly what it's about. Mm-hmm. So the lyrics are there, not much, the bangers, the multi-dimensional flows. You're going to hear that throughout this album, indeed.
Jake?
I'm going to be upfront and honest about a few things here. One, I'm writing down a lot of shit that J-Rob's saying so I can go check it out.
Right.
2, I did not even listen to the Lupe new album. Not that I think he's untalented or anything. It's just he's never been a guy that hits my radar that I go and like I need to search this out. I feel guilty because it's not on there because I haven't listened to it, but also he's not on there because I didn't listen to it. The third thing I'll say is Logic didn't make my list at all going into this, so everybody can be proud. I got enough of hearing that I'm a half. But number 4 is Freddie Gibbs. Sold.
Are you kidding me?
Separately.
That's
fucking killer. Awesome.
That shit's dope.
Fun.
It didn't
great videos.
Didn't make my top 10, but it's dope.
That's my number 4 hater.
It's fucking fun. It's one of those. Just him, the video of that big bunny,
rabbit.
Yes.
I'm just having a fucking blast. I don't know. I just liked the album. It was one of those ones. It made my top 4 because I listened to it a lot.
Honestly,
I like it.
Dude, I'm not lying. That's my number 4. Like, I'll hold up my shit. That's my number 4. I can't argue with your pick, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, just like Jake said, I'm writing down some notes here too, J-Rob. So when you quiz us later on some of these albums you're spitting out, I'm going to do my best to get back to those. So you've done your number 4. Jake and I agreed on number 4. Jake, let me throw this over to you. What's your number 3?
Earl Sweatshirt's Sick.
Interesting. I have not heard it. I know Earl. I haven't heard it.
I love her. This is those albums that come out that's like, I guess sort of what you're saying about like Lupe or Conway the Machine, those growth albums. I've always been an Earl Sweatshirt fan.
He's talented.
Back in those fucking talent when his mama wouldn't let him make albums, whatever, and just the Odd World stuff. But it's a good all around album. It's one of those things. It's another one that makes me think and go back and listen. He's one of those guys. I love his cadence. I love his flow. I love his style. I know it's all over the place sometimes. It's not quite honed in totally, but it's a killer fucking album. And I would check it out, J-Rob. Again, it's like he's one of those guys for me, and I'm not saying he's top 10, but he's one of those guys, if something comes out, I go and check it out. I've always been a fan of those types of groups. And Earl Sweatshirt's Sick is number 3 for me. It's a good fucking listen. I'll say it that.
J-Rob, what do you got?
Number 3, Denzel Curry, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. Denzel's a guy I have listened to for a while now. Shout out to Miles Robinson. He was the first person to, like, years ago, put me onto him back in, like, the Imperial days, which is an album that he put out, like, several years ago. But anyway, this is the pinnacle of what I thought we would get with this guy. He's very energetic. I can put him on when I'm driving, riding around. I can put him on when I'm sitting down and chilling. I can throw this guy on in the weight room. And this was the first time he gave me that weight room energy, the melodic presence, and also showed he has lyrical talent. Like the vibes this guy captures on this album, the bounce, the grittiness that comes through on this album, but still at the same time gives you an introspective presence to life and this world that we currently live in and how to get through it. That's just what's so evident on this album. And just the different styles he can combine with electronic type of melodies and influences, some sort of rock. He's been a big fan of rock. That's well noted for Denzel Curry. But this is where I felt like he really outdid himself coming off of his last project in 2019, Cobain. Or no, I'm sorry, Black Balloons. But I didn't think he was going to outdo himself, and he did it on this one.
We've talked about my love for old school stuff. This album made me feel like I was listening to shit from the old days. Danger Mouse and Black Thought, Cheat Codes, my number 3. I really, really, really enjoyed this one. I felt like this was the team up, if you will, that I was waiting for. Like this was just a great fucking lyrical album, number 1. But number 2, the way that just some little things, the way that they would transition between tracks, the way that you had the melodies, the way that you had the cadence. I just loved everything about this. And so Danger Mouse and Black Thought, Cheat Codes, my number 3 solidly. I think I didn't have any issue with my top 3, specifically in order with my top 3, but this one I knew was better than all of the other ones that I've ranked tonight. So I didn't have any issues with that.
Number 2, because I just found it, I fell in love with grime rap from the UK. And Stormzy, This Is What I Mean, just came out. And here's the thing. As I said, I'm a victim of something that's brand new. It came out, I think, last week. It's a beautiful album all over, though, just musically sounding. I also like the way that when he raps, he can take his UK voice. And it's one of those interesting, like I listen to a lot of Japanese rap and stuff too, right? So like if you ever get a chance, J-Rob, go listen to Nobody Knows +. They're fucking awesome. It's like a group of like 5 dudes. I mean, you don't understand anything they're fucking saying, but it's a fucking blast. I'll say this though, the way he uses his inflection and his dialect or his whatever you want to say, it just makes noises that rhyme that wouldn't work over here is enjoyable for me. Like even when he's just going, oh, and I'm like, I fucking digged it. I love this fucking album. I can't get enough of it. After I listened to the interview with him with Rick Rubin last week, it's just something about it. I went and picked up all 3 of his albums that he's came out with recently. I don't know if you've listened to Stormzy before, if you're a fan of his.
I know Stormzy.
Or anything.
Oh, yeah, I know Stormzy.
Or that grime rap. Mm-hmm. I fucking love this album. I don't know why. Like I said, it just came out, I think, on the 17th, but I've been digging it hard. And it's one of those, it's for me, it's up there for the year because I just can't stop listening to any of it.
Nice. So J-Rob, let's shoot this over to you. What's your number 2?
Number 2, I thought this was what you were going to say when you were talking about the old school, when you were bringing up Black Thought and Danger Mouse cheat codes, which for me, that was literally sitting there as my number 11th. And when you asked me that question at the beginning of the show, what's going to hurt the most? That was the album I had to leave out, and it hurt. It really did. Black Thought, to me, Black Thought is, like I was telling you, Lupe's top 10 all time. Black Thought, top 5 all time for me. Mm-hmm. Right. And who's number 2 is the rapper I would also say is number 1 all time for me. And that's Nas with King's Disease 3.
KD3. Yep.
Nas and Hit Boy. I mean, what more can we say? What more can we say? I mean, these guys teamed up for King's Disease 1 back in 2020. And I was so late to hearing it because I was like, it's Nas. I'll get to Nas. I've heard so much Nas. He's kind of, he's in this space. He's not really motivated to rap anymore. This is just where he's at as a person. He's gave us so much material. Then I heard that shit. Nas is back. Then in 2021, they dropped King's Disease 2. Then in later 2021, they dropped Magic. Then in early 2022, they dropped this. And it's just them two. There's not a feature on the album. And oh my God, there is chemistry. And then there is what these two dudes were able to unlock with this album. Nas is in rare form. I mean, the oomph that he can still bring out of him at this stage in his career to tap into the fountain of youth that is Nas's musical motivation at this stage in his life, to get Nas over a fucking drill beat. Who would have ever thought he put Nas over a drill beat? Yeah. And I mean, someone sent me a meme the other day, said 2048 King's Disease 61. Yeah, it'd probably be dope. That's where I'm at with these two. Just great fucking album.
That's a good album.
I've got to say that's my number 2. KD3 is my number 2, Jake. I don't know if it's your number 1 or number 2, but nope. let me put it to you like this, J-Rob. You said that Nas, he went away. Musically, he didn't obviously go away. But I felt like not only did he not go away, but he's arguably the best rapper alive. Like, he's definitely top 5. And the way that he's coming out with new shit like this just blows my mind. Because I remember his early stuff. I mean, I remember the feuds that he had. The way that he's doing these albums is just, for a pun, it's music to my ears, man. Like, he's killing it right now. So put Nas, KD3, number 2. Jake, what's your number 2?
I just said my number 2. We're going to go to number 1.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's go to number 1.
Yeah, sorry. Let's go to J-Rob for number 1. I want to hear his.
Number 1, B-Word. Jid, The Forever Story is the best rap album.
All right. Yeah, that was a great fucking album, dude.
2022. JID, Jid, Jiddy, it's been thrown around how to pronounce it. You can go either way. He hasn't corrected anyone. But what he did here with this project, the number of different vibes and flows and lyrics, this guy is like a one-man artist in the sense. You said he's not necessarily a musician, he's a lyricist. Mm-hmm. To me, I think this album, he is definitely a lyricist. That's what he first and foremost is, right? But in this album, he showed other components that make him both, right? Yeah. Cody Blue 31, bro. They say it rains for so that fool is singing his ass off, and he's never tapped into that vein. And he's the way he's used his family to mix into this, the way he's used production from K-Tronada, from James Blake, from Music Soul Child, like the features he throws on this album. You get Most Def going on the second half of Stars when the beat switches. It's like you get 2 songs in one. The first song is Jid, amazing production. Then it completely beat shifts, changes. Then here comes Most Def start rapping, but no, it's the same song. Like it's so amazing how this just moves from one type of music to another, how seamlessly and effortlessly he flows through it, both rhythmically and with his cadence when he raps. I mean, there is not a component that you look for in music that I feel this album is devoid of. You have this story crack sandwich where he's talking about the fight that his family got in and how this is what made them close. And the ultimate point, I think, of the whole entire album, why it is called the Forever Story, is that these things that he's presenting on this album aren't new to like the scope of what people can go through in rap, right? I came from nothing. I had this family, and this is what made us strong, which is awesome. And that's the way you get through life. But this isn't something that we haven't heard before. This is just his story on it. And this is also the forever story of people who come up from rap in the situations that he is in, and the way that he paints that tale, it's mind blowing. I love this album. He blew me away. He said it on the first song, and I'll let you guys get to your number one, but he said it on the first song. He said, I got some stuff you can play for your mama. I got some stuff you can play for the hoes. Like, it's all there and beautifully done.
Nice.
I'm just actually happy that one of my top 10 made his number one, because I was thinking, well, maybe something I haven't heard before. So, Jake, what's your number one?
Black Thought, Cheat Codes.
Yes, sir.
The features, just great fucking album. It's funny, like when you were saying you felt bad of leaving somebody off, I felt bad for leaving Nas off. So it's the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like with Nas, I've it's not that I've heard everything from him, but he's one of those guys. I love the older stuff. Not that the new stuff's not great. King's Disease 3 was great, but I just really loved Black Thought, Cheat Codes. And I liked everything they did. I love when him and Danger Mouse worked together. I think they collab perfectly. And it was an all around good album for me, just an enjoyable listen. So it's my number one for the genre.
I'll admit it. I expected more from Danger Mouse.
Did you?
And I'd say this with having high expectations. Again, it's the one that hurt me the most to kick out. But Black Thought's verse on Aquamarine, I know I said his verse on Saba's album is probably verse of the year. Yeah, verse number 2 is his verse, the first verse on Aquamarine off this album. Yeah,
great fucking album.
And this is where you guys are going to shit on me, because I am very much a commercial music listener. Like
Jack Harlow.
Please say it's Lloyd Banks. Oh, I'm going to be so proud of you.
No. Pusha T, It's Almost Dry.
Oh, okay. I don't hate that.
No, I don't think you guys will hate the album. But the reason why it's so fucking high for me is because of all the collabs on it. Because of all of the different producers that are working on it. You've got Kanye, you've got Pharrell, you've got Jay-Z. For me, it's very much commercialized as opposed to some of these other albums. But I love it. I love it so much. I've listened to it probably 2 handfuls worth of times. To me, it comes across as that really fun, really gritty type of just commercial rap. Commercial hip hop album. It's not something that you're going to find underground. It's not something that I feel like, is going to be this person that nobody's heard of. For me, that makes my number one. So before we get into our next topic, let's take another real quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This has been a fun episode, man. Jake, we're talking a whole bunch of music here with J-Rob. And J-Rob, I appreciate your opinion, man. I really do. For the albums that I didn't listen, that I haven't heard yet, didn't listen to, I'm gonna check those out, because if you're telling me that they're good albums, I'm pretty certain that they are.
Thank you, man. No, this is really fun to sit here and go through like this deep of a conversation about music. It's awesome. I'm having a great time.
Yeah. So Jake, the other topic on our list is non-hip hop albums, and we also have a top 10 for that. So this one I've got to be honest with you, I could not put this one in order. This is not 1 through 10 for me, because I went through and picked the best from different genres. So for me, it was hard to do that top 1 through 10 for non-hip hop. I kind of selected a few out of country, a few out of rock, a few out of metal, just kind of did the mixed bag there. And it was really hard for me to rank. Are yours ranked in this order?
They're ranked in order, and the nice thing is I'm glad we did rap and this, and that's why I'm glad J-Rob always did that list online, is because I can come in and I don't have to put rap albums on here, and I don't have any of the same albums that we just listed, because it's unfair. It's all everything else. I will say this, biggest disappointment of the year for me, because I'm the hater, I have to throw that in there, is the Juliana Theory's Still the Same Kids Part 1, an emo band that I fell in love with back in 2000. I was expecting, not that you don't want bands to grow, but whatever the fuck they came out with isn't even that band, and they should just burn it and never come out with part 2. It's fucking garbage. I will say that. It was one of the worst things I heard, and I was so pumped because they're one of those bands. I was like, holy shit, I always loved this band. I cannot wait for this. I'm happy they're back together. And then it came out, and I went, what the fuck just happened? And I really thought I got LimeWired. Like, I downloaded something, and it wasn't even the right fucking thing. Yeah, no. So I'll say that. But J-Rob, this is also fun. I think this is going to be B-Word's time to shine, because this is going to be where he can go all over the place. Is this list harder for you to do? I mean, I know you're a music head, but I mean,
what happens with this list is sometimes digging into it from like finding, is there a deeper meaning to it? Because a lot of the rap that I will gravitate towards does have did you catch that double entendre with the lyrics? Rap, there's more words. That's more of the point of rap. With non-rap music, you get into that kind of goes away. So it's about what does it kind of feel like? What does it feel like over time? There's more of that element of it. And I've come a long way as I've got older. I've just recognized there's like no music I want to turn off. And I'm glad you said this too, B, when we were starting this off, pulling from different genres. I have only one album in here that's not even in English at all. I don't know what this guy is saying, but I know some of it. But it's cool to be there with this. And is it easier? Is it harder? It's less challenging. It is less challenging, if I were to be honest.
I'm curious to know what that one is and how high it ranks. So if you boys are okay with it, let's just get into it. Again, for mine are not ranked. I just had the hardest time trying to rank these. So maybe I'll just go first and throw it out there just because, again, it's not ranked. And if you guys are ranked, I want to respect your rankings. So I've got Big Crit, Digital Roses Don't Die. I fucking love this dude. Like, this guy is an amazing fucking artist. I was actually introduced. So J-Rob, you'll like this. I was actually introduced to Big Crit 5 years ago. I think it's probably been 5 years. And I was introduced to him by a Dallas Cowboys beat reporter. And this was his dude. All of his albums, all of his quotes were Big Crit.
Do you remember what album it was?
Oh shit. No, because you're putting me on the spot.
Yes, I am.
But no,
I love Big Crit is one of my favorite. If he is like let's say current artist, Big Crit's my favorite.
Really? Wow.
Man,
right.
I've seen him live 7 times. Like, keep going.
So what you're saying is that you agree with my list so far. I fucking love that. So yeah, so Big Crit is, again, no particular order for me. I apologize about that. So J-Rob, why don't I throw it over to you, man? What do you got for number 10?
Number 10, I have the Robert Glasper Experiment, Black Radio 3, my bad, Black Radio 3. Yeah, Robert Glasper, for people who don't know him, he's a piano player, producer, member of a jazz band, artist, collaborator in a lot of different ways. And that's exactly what he does here. His music is rooted in jazz. If you ever get a chance to see them live, I mean, treat yourself and go. He's not very expensive. He's worked with, if you're a person who likes music, right, over just a couple of genres, he's going to have rubbed shoulders and shook hands with that person and worked with that person most likely.
Love it.
And that's all over this album. You got Q-Tip. You got D-Smoke. You've got BJ Chicago Kid. You've got some Music of the Soul Child stuff. You've got Ty Dolla $ign. I mean, Esmeralda Spalding, cello player, and from here in Portland. Anyway, you have all these different genres here linking up together, but rounding out in just a smooth, jazzy way. And that's what we get here on this Robert Glasper album. That's why it lands at 10. The reason it's not higher, it's really long. It's like almost 20 songs. Some of them just kind of don't fit in that mix, but really good album. Definitely check it out.
Nice.
Jake, what do you got?
I'll be up front that I don't have any instrumental people or anything, and it's because everybody that I love, like Mogwai is one of my favorite bands of all time. That's what I cook to all the time. Everything came out in 2021. And so that was another thing for me going through this list of like, okay, what am I listening to right now? And I think that's why I was a little disappointed in my list at first until I get to the top 10 or the top 5, is because there were people thrown on there because I listened to their albums a lot, but I didn't feel a lot of great music came out of other genres. Yours truly, Is This What I Look Like? If you like Paramore, a chick lead, you will really dig this band. It's almost that pop punk, but like a little bit harder, not too hard, but that a very similar sound to old Paramore. It's a band that I recently found. I stumbled across them. I really dug the album. I think they do a very good job song to song, not changing up too much, but just enough that you realize it's different songs. But it was a good, fun little album. It wouldn't be higher because, I don't think it's the greatest thing written of all time. There's some other ones on this list that are better, but it was a good album to come out this year, and it surprised me because they came out with a single. I checked it out, and I was like, okay, I'll check out the rest, and I actually liked everything else that they came out with on the tracks. So yours truly, Is This What I Look Like? I highly recommend that.
Speaking of chick leads, Hailstorm. I love Hailstorm. I probably love Hailstorm more than most. Hailstorm came out with Back from the Dead. and I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I think that Haley I love her voice, how it goes from pure to raspy. And I love how you have the hard beats and the guitars and everything right behind her. I really like it when she does covers, to be honest with you, and while there weren't any covers.
Are you talking about an album with Haley English from Paramore?
No, my bad. I'm sorry. I was saying Haley, but I meant Lizzie Hale. In person, they're probably in the top 5 of bands that I've been able to watch. They just fucking rock the house. And so this band this album did a really good job coming out. I felt like they just fucking killed it with some songs. There's some songs on there that are skips, I'm not going to lie. But overall, Hailstorm, Back from the Dead, I'm putting that at my number 9, even though these aren't ranked. So, J-Rob, what do you got for number 9?
Number 9 for me, Monster Brown, Naki. I need to remember the pronunciation of this. It's an Arabic word, Naki. Monster Brown, volumes 1 and 2. He put out 2 EPs this year, whereas if you just add them into one, it basically makes a 13, 14 track album. He's a guitarist that this album's not going to have lyrics in it. He's a guitarist specifically, jazz guitarist, rock, like new age rock guitarist. The way this man can just use the guitar in different ways, tones, moods. Jake, you're in school. I would highly, if you're someone's researching, I should say, I would highly recommend looking up this guy because of how melodic he is and the way that he can focus. I know myself, if I'm like researching to anyway, I don't want lyrics because then I'll start to hear the lyrics and that'll kind of distract me from what I'm trying to absorb, but like with just words. So throw him on when you're doing something that does require you to read. And Monster Brown will really paint a good soundscape for doing something like that. So his 2 projects that he dropped this year, the 2 EPs together collectively, Naki Volume 1, Naki Volume 2, and you spell his name Mansur Brown.
Okay, that's a good recommendation. I'll check that out.
Jake, what about you?
Number 9 is Bleed From Within, Shrine. Noam introduced me to this band. I went and found Levitate. Amazing music video. I think that's one of those things that's lacking these days. I think we sort of skipped those over. We're moved on from the MTV days, but a good metal band that has really good orchestra behind it. Nice. Every little bit of melodic tones, but with the really heavy tones as well. It hits all the parts. It reminds me when I first fell in love with Dimmu Borgir, and they hired a full string orchestra for their death metal album. And you could actually hear it and it wasn't overly produced or a machine doing it. Good album. Recommend it. It's got some slow parts, so that's why it's not a little higher. And it's also got some parts that start to sound the same, if that makes sense with metal. Like we've talked about it on the Hateful Gnome Hut, where when we talk to bands, like how do you differentiate yourself when you're screaming all the time? Like how can you make it sound different? They do that at parts, but there are parts where you're like, okay, I've heard this before. But still a really good album, Bleed From Within, Shrine.
Nice. I'm going to check that one out.
So my number 8, I guess it's going to be, I did this more for nostalgia reasons, but the album is actually really good. I grew up being a huge Ozzy Osbourne fan. Like I loved everything about Ozzy. I love Black Sabbath. I remember, Jake, after you and I met, I moved away and I spent the latter part of elementary school and middle school in a small town. And so for middle school dances, they would have me be the DJ and I would always play Ozzy Osbourne. And everybody hated it, but I fucking loved it. Ozzy Osbourne came out with Patient Number 9 this year. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to listen to that.
I have not.
It's fucking awesome. And let me tell you this too. Like I know that Ozzy's got his health issues. I was fortunate enough to see him on stage about 5 years ago. And he was not somebody that I was looking forward to seeing because I felt like I was just going to see this decrepit cripple on stage.
The shell of a man.
Yeah. That dude has another gear. He is so fucking good in person. Even to this day, like I've seen videos on YouTube and whatever of his recent tours and whatnot. He's a maniac and his stage presence is incredible. I love Patient Number 9 because it did remind me of a lot of his older songs and a lot of his older albums. But what I appreciated about this album is that I can hear him trying new things. And some of the things I felt were really successful. So Ozzy Osbourne, Patient Number 9 is going to be my next album. So J-Rob, what do you got?
To move on to number 8, we have FKJ, Vincent. I don't know if you guys know who this is.
No.
FKJ is an Australian-based multi-instrumentalist musician. This guy, if you ever want to impress some people about like, oh, you like people who can do multiple things musically, throw on YouTube videos of this man moving from the keyboard, the piano, playing amazingly. He then jumps to the MPC. He loops what he just recorded through an MPC. He adds drums through the MPC. He moves over to the saxophone. He plays the tenor sax. He picks up a guitar. He puts that down. He picks up a bass. He also sings, and he's a one-man band. FKJ stands for French Kiwi Juice, and this album is Vincent, which is a self-titled album. This is his album. His name is Vincent. He has this the best video on YouTube to me that there is FKJ on this salt flat in South America during the sunset with multiple drones filming this guy on a stage in like a shallow ocean. Oh, bro. I've watched this video. It's a 2-hour video. I've watched it like 17 times.
Wow.
Right. It's the best thing. You can't sleep. Put it on. You're chilling with your girl. Put it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, this album is him really kind of getting back to a lot of different roots of his. He ends up working with people on this album that I didn't expect him to work with from a visual landscape as well as an audio landscape. He has a song on here right now. I'm going to spoil it right now. This was the first one that had to get out of my top 3 singles. He has a song on here called Greener with him and Carlos Santana.
Wow.
And he paints this atmosphere called Greener, like greener on the other side of the fence, greener on the other side, better over there, whatever. The way that life grows, just very, very limited lyrics. But he does such a good job of using multiple instruments that still don't get in the way of Santana being Santana. And it's fucking amazing. There's a video on YouTube of that too. And they're in the jungle, just Santana doing his thing. Awesome artist. And it's cool to see him back here and just still making music and still evolving in the sense that he can partner with people like Carlos and other producers. So FKJ Vincent. That's
fucking awesome.
Nice. Number 8, I also went with nostalgia. B-word. Hollywood Undead, Hotel California.
Yeah.
Always been a huge Hollywood Undead fan.
Me too.
It's one of those bands. I just can't help myself. I always go back. Not their best album ever, but a lot better than some of the number 5 that came out or some of the other ones that have came out recently. It's just fun. It's old school. It's you're getting what you get. It's like when I described the movie Pacific Rim. You want monsters punching robots in the face. You get Hollywood Undead, maskless or mask on, whatever. They're going to rap about their dick. They're going to rap about drugs. They're going to rap about things they've probably never done, things they do. I don't know. It's just a fun, just nostalgic, throw it on, drive around, I feel like I'm 16 again, a little pervert, but it's fucking awesome. Yeah, Hollywood Undead, Hotel California. I'm going to do it with that. I'm going to jump into my number 7 because it excites me, B-word, because I know that you dug this album after me and Noam talked about it. It's Motionless in White.
Oh, fuck.
Scoring the End of the World. Yeah. What a fun fucking album that was. It also has, good features on it, but the guy's vocal range for being a screamer and a metalcore band is phenomenal. I mean, you get to the song like the track Porcelain, and just hearing them like slow it down and make it really nice, and then go to Slaughterhouse where they're just fucking being evil and talking about whatever the fuck it's a great fucking album. It's probably one of their best works. I think they've, their first album, that's one of those bands like, they'll never beat it. They did. It's a fucking killer album. I
just want to add to that real quick. Motionless in White surprised me this year. I didn't expect for that album to take me in the manner that it did. And it was awesome. That's actually, and so the reason why I'm jumping in there is because that's actually one of my non-hip hop albums. So I'll just agree with you there. I wasn't going to put it in that order, but because you brought it up, I figured I would just second on that. So yeah, Motionless in White is fucking phenomenal. J-Rob, what do you got for your next one?
Next for me, number 7 would be Blast. I don't know if this is how necessarily pronounce his name because he spells it BLXST, and this is Before You Go. Blast is a guy that has solidified himself as, a staple in the sound of R&B, hip hop, chill, banger atmosphere. And this is a project where we saw him really at the peak of his powers and being able to deliver something that is, if you want an album that functions as a playlist for chilling in the sun, this is it. Just like you're chilling in the sun. It's not super hype. He sounds great. There's good bounce. It knocks, and it just reminds you of a bright time. And Blast has reached a point where he is being asked about a lot and being looked out for in many different ways. And this project in 2022 was a really good follow-up to what he started to lay the groundwork for in 2021 and in 2020. So our old, I would say some old school R&B, that's kind of what his influences come from. But if the sound of it, he's so smooth and so clear that it's taking advantage of with the technology we have right now. So Blast before you go. Yeah, throw that one on, press play, and forget it.
B-word, what's your next one?
Chris Brown, Breezy.
Oof.
So
really?
yeah, I'm kind of a stan for Chris Brown. Like, I don't necessarily like the guy, and for as a person, but his music is killer, and the talent that he has, the talent that he's had since he was a boy. Let's be honest, has just been incredible. I found Breezy to be one of those albums that I didn't have to skip through, mainly because I felt like the way that he put the music together was fun to listen to, regardless of what the lyrics were. I just thought that it was fun, it was fresh, it got me reminiscing on some of his older albums, some of his older tracks. Is it his best album? No, but I was surprised at how much I liked this album in 2022.
Oh, the lyrics are about one thing. Fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sex.
All of it.
Lots of sex.
All of it.
The end.
Yeah. J-Rob, what do you got for a 6?
Number 6, Odessa, The Last Goodbye. I don't know if you guys know who Odessa is. They are a instrumental alternative outfit. Like this, they are the different scapes and how would I put this, atmospheres that this group can venture into is incredible. They are on one of my bucket lists as far as a group to see live. You spell the name Odessa, and the album The Last Goodbye. They have amazing songs on here that will listen to while you're camping, feel very, in tune to nature and to the earth. Throw them on while you're working out. They have great progressions. They have great uses of the new aspects of music that we can really tap into. And they don't abandon the old ways that have been established before. So you're going to throw them on. They're not like a lot of groups. Electronic is how the best you can probably describe them. So throw this group on. You're going to get vocals. You are going to get vocals all throughout it. You're going to get lots of vocals, group vocals, solo vocals, multiple drums. I mean, it's a trip. And they've got some songs on this one that are just crazy, the levels that they go to. So yeah, Odessa, The Last Goodbye. This group just continues to keep impressing me with the different sounds that they can make through all this blend of noise that they have.
Jero, I'm glad you asked if I've heard of them, because I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't heard of the last 5 people you fucking talked about, which I'm enjoying because I'm writing down. I'm like,
so
okay,
am I,
another one to check out, another one to check out, another one to check out.
Ozzy as well. That's what I'm doing over here. I'm like trying to type it out.
Yeah, it's one of those things though. Just like your hip hop, this is very telling of the music I love. I'm sure you guys have caught on that, I have a genre that I really like, and this fits into that. But my next one would be I Prevail, True Power.
It's a great one.
I Prevail's one of those bands ever since they came out, whether it was covering songs, which I think is the new way for these hardcore bands to come out, is cover, Black Beatles by, Racerman or whatever. Or Taylor Swift, or cover a big song and make it sound good in our genre, and you blow up. But True Power is a good album. I do feel it gets slow at sometimes. It doesn't have every banger like they always have, but if you haven't, check it out. I know that they're getting big and they keep getting bigger and bigger each year, but it's a good fucking album. I know I've talked to death about it on our other show, B-Word. I know you've checked it out due to that. Not that you weren't a fan of them before. J-Rob, I don't know if you're a fan of
I've never heard of them. What genre?
Hardcore, like metalcore.
Okay.
It's like, but they have good singing. They almost have that like that old school rap metal they bring in too, where it's just a lot of fun. It's 2 singers. They come out with a lot of cover songs too, and they do them well. And that's another thing that I really like about them. But I Prevail, True Power would be number 5 for me.
Number 5 for me is Big Crit, Digital Roses Don't Die.
Fuck yeah. And such a great album.
What I love about this B-word, what I love about it, is a lot of people who are Big Crit fans, such as myself, like I was telling you, current favorite, all that, that's not a non-rap album. Yeah, it is. It really is. This is in the vein of some Andre 3000 Love Below.
Exactly.
Like, that's where we're at with this. He's not really rapping the same. If you don't have to explain it this way that I am right now if people have listened to Big Crit regularly, because he doesn't sound anything like this in a lot of his other songs. There's so much more rap. It's not to say that this guy didn't have the soul influences, the R&B cadence and vibes to it, the use of live instrumentation. That's all been there. But for him to tap into it in this way was so fun. It was so fun. I mean, come on. We are grown men sitting here, right? Got kids. I'm boring and you love it because we're paid. You know what I mean? Like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? It was like we doing grown man stuff and celebrating it. And I think that's just so much of what is exemplified through here on this album, how he takes you through different seasons. Similarity, like if you listen to the album, there's like he has different instrumental seasons that are brought through here because he's also a producer, right? So he brings through different instrumental seasons, and it also not only takes you through the course of a year with the different seasons that hit, but also through the different types of feelings that you get in a relationship if you really listen close enough. Yeah, like a romantic relationship. And I just think for him to give us this at this point in his career, bravo, brother. Like, I love this album. It's been a great year for music, but it definitely belongs in the top 5. I could throw it on from beginning to end right now and dance a mile away.
To interrupt you guys, viewer, don't cut that out because I actually skipped my number 6. I prematurely crossed out. So I went to number 5 and I didn't even say my number 6 because my number 6 was Panic at the Disco's Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, I didn't even hear that one.
And I'll tell you, if you like Queen,
sucked.
I haven't heard. No, I like Panic. Okay. Panic's all right. Okay, I'll go there.
The worst live performers I've ever seen.
Really? The worst show ever?
Yes.
I'll tell you right now. Well, you remember how they were signed.
Yes.
They were signed before they ever played a live show. And then for the first 2 years, they got booed off stage because they can't perform. Right. And now it's turned into this grandiose, avant-garde, over-the-top spectacle. I agree with you there. But I'll say this. We've seen him try to get into the lounge, Queen, all that stuff. And he really tapped into it in this album. And it's a lot of fucking fun. And it's cool to hear. You just see him picking things that he listened to. And it's almost like an homage on every fucking track to somebody else. And that's why I enjoyed it. It's just... You hear all these other bands that he fell in love with and what made him love music. And that's why I enjoy this album is I felt Death of a Bachelor was a great album. However, I felt, okay, he's really trying to go for that Vegas lounge. And this one was like, you know what? Fuck it. I like this music. I'm going to make a fucking song like that. I like this type of music. I'm going to make a fucking song like that. And it was enjoyable. It's almost like when you hear an artist finally be free. And you're just like, good for fucking you. So 1, sorry I skipped. Sorry I prematurely wrote it off. 2, I did my 5 already, but also be weird. Don't cut that out. And Panic at the Disco, it is a better album than you're giving it. Definitely check it out.
Why didn't you like it, B?
I don't like Panic at the Disco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
never mind. We don't need to have a conversation.
Yeah. I write Sins Not Tragedies. That was probably the first song that I heard from Panic at the Disco. I went and saw them. They were horrible. And from then on, it reminds me of my dad with Guns N' Roses. My dad used to be the biggest Guns N' Roses fan. He used to love Axl Rose, Slash, the whole works, until he went to a concert. And Axl Rose had a meltdown. And he's like, fuck Axl Rose, I will never listen to GNR ever again. Wow. And that's kind of how I feel with Panic at the Disco. I love GNR. So like that didn't pass down a generation. But yeah, I can't stand Panic at the Disco. Like I'll listen to them if they're on the radio. I will not choose to like play their album. Not at all. So my number 5, Thomas Rhett, country singer, Where We Started. Just absolutely adore this album. In my later years, I've really started to appreciate country. I used to be a person who didn't listen to country when I had a number of employees and we would all battle over the radio station. The one rule was we're not playing country. I'm really disappointed in myself that I didn't give country more of a try back then because I think that there's a lot of really bad country songs and really bad country singers, but I do think that there are some really, really killer artists that are not only performing some good shit, but they're also writing and producing some good shit. And Thomas Rhett is one of those guys. So again, Thomas Rhett, Where We Started.
So that brings us to number 4 that I fucked up. Yeah, I fucked up the order. So J-Rob, what's your number 4?
Number 4, Black Keys, Drop Out Boogie.
That's a great album.
Okay.
Oh, man, these guys, they got, like, in 2020, they came out with that, was it 2020 or 2019, that the album had a chair on it, like an old school, like, chair you might see at, like, City Liquidators that was, like, velvety pink. And they tried to tap into more of a rock vein, and with the different ways they can kind of meld themselves into a certain type of a genre that they want to do, I'm not going to ever slight them completely for taking a chance. Then they came out with their 2021 effort, and they kind of got back to more of their roots. Now with this one, the duo, I mean, that blues rock sound is captured so well. And the different ways that they seem to be in a better space.
Yeah.
With how there's a grit to it. There's an organic element to the whole entire album, and they're so happy about it. Like, I mean, there's a song, Happiness. There's more topics about love. There's more topics about, like, remaining true and staying the course, and how fun it is doing all of that, and just how it feels like deep down when you can. And I feel like those emotions and feelings and thoughts are evoked every time I put this album on. I only stumbled onto this album this year. And it's been one that, honestly, if I'm not working out and it's not a rap album, this is the one that's probably been on the most in the last month of December. It's awesome. I want to get the vinyl to this just to have, because it has yet to go stale or fade. And shout out to the Black Keys. Ran into Andrew, the drummer. Ran into him at Devil's Point, Jake, after one recording of the Bearded Sports Guys.
Yeah?
Met him. Yeah, dope-ass dude.
That's fucking awesome. I, too, have a country album next. Jason Aldean's Georgia.
That's a good one, too.
The next piece to McCone. Good fucking album. Jason Aldean's one of those artists, again, that I always go check out. There was a lot of good, actually, country albums that came out this year. Carrie Underwood's Denim and Rhinestones were really good. Thomas Rhett, of course, very good. Brantley Gilbert also came out with an album, one of the old writers for Jason Aldean. That's how he blew up. But just a good album all around. I mean, it is what you get. It's Jason Aldean singing about what he sings about, going to another state, drinking whiskey, sitting at a bar, the typical country that you want to fucking hear, but good. A lot of rock influence. He's been doing that really well. I'll say this, one of the worst performers I've ever seen.
Really?
He just stands there. Yeah, in the sense that he does nothing. And it's not that I need an artist to, like, jump around and run and be like Luke Bryan if we're going to stay in country and get drunk and fall off stage. But when you also just stand there for an hour and strum and don't move, you might as well put a cardboard cutout up there. I feel like I'm just listening to you on better speakers. And that's my opinion there. Does the music sound great live? I mean, I saw a bunch of people live this year, and he just does not, I don't know. Chris Stapleton was probably one of the greatest shows I saw this year.
You saw Stapleton.
One of the best. I did.
Ridgefield,
one of
right?
the best performers. Yeah, in Ridgefield. One of the best performers in the rain. And it wasn't just like listening to him on loudspeakers. It was probably one of the only people that sounds exactly like an album, but fucking live and kills it. Jason Aldean's the opposite. George is a great fucking album, though. I'll say that. Great fucking album. Do I need to go out? Do I want it on vinyl? Yeah. Do I want to listen to it in my car? Yeah. Do I want to go see it live? No. But it is a really good album. It's in my top 4 for a reason.
Those exist. Nice.
So this number 4 is going to be familiar with Jake. I did not think that this was a hip hop album or a rap album, so that's why I didn't go on my other list. Jack Harlow, Come Home, The Kids Miss You.
Interesting. So why is this in this list?
I felt like this was more pop, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
That it was more of a pop and R&B. I realized that he's rapping, so there's that. But I didn't feel like it had what I thought was rap and hip hop. And so for this, I felt like it was more poppy. I enjoyed the shit out of the album. I think that there's some really good tracks on it. I think it's one of those that I just don't have to skip. And I've listened to it a few times, and it's just one of those things, like if I'm driving and it's just playing in the background, I just love it. It's one of those albums. So again, not ranked, but I'm going to put that as my number 4. So Jack Harlow, you're on there. I'm going to skip you guys and go and shoot out my number 3. I'm putting this as number 3, but I'm going to preface this is my favorite album of the year. And the reason why I'm coming out with it right now is because Jake was talking about Chris Stapleton and his performance and everything. Luke Combs, Growing Up. Luke Combs is my favorite country artist today. He's a good old boy. He's a good old country boy. He's a bigger guy. I haven't, I get along better with bigger guys. Luke Combs, I actually had an opportunity to see him in Tahoe this year. Just like what Jake said with Chris Stapleton and seeing him in Ridgefield in the rain. Luke Combs has a stage presence from a country singer that I've not seen in a long, long time. And I felt that he not only had that party atmosphere vibe, but he also had that we're going to get drunk and rowdy, but we're all going to have a good time, and I'm going to bring it home. And the way that he sang some of these songs and the meaning behind the songs hits you in a way that just makes you feel it. And this is my number one album of the year. I realize I'm putting it at number 4, but I do want to preface that. Luke Combs, growing up, by far my favorite artist this year. And so I'm throwing it out there just because of Jake's Chris Stapleton thing. So that's I'm marking that off my list. So with that, J-Rob, what do you got?
Chris Brown, Breezy.
Oh, fucking. Let's get to fucking.
I mean, come on. Okay. B-word, I'm glad you threw this on there with yours as well. I mean, there are some skippables on this, and I think the biggest reason of it is because this is like 25 tracks. If you grab the deluxe of this, it is. So the deluxe of the JIT album is very important because of the last track of it that we were talking about, how it ties up the whole story. So that means something. The deluxe of an album, when you already have 25 tracks, and the deluxe gives you 30 songs. Okay, I mean, still, it's long, but there are so many things you can pull from this album from a musical appreciation standpoint. And I mean, the verse that we get from Lil Wayne on Possessive, the instant club bangers and reminder of what it was like to be young and go out to the club. Yeah. I mean, I'm reminded so much of that. I'm reminded I hear Catch a Body and second track on the album. And I'm reminded of this alcohol stuff I bought at Lloyd Center that I used to drop my earrings in before I would go out to the club while I'm ironing my button up and listening to a song like that. He tapped into that with this. And then there's that R&B run that exists through Warm Embrace, through Sleep at Night, through 12, 13, and 14. The track Forbidden, that is just complete live instrumentation production. And you can just throw on there and just gig out. It's going to be on my New Year's Eve playlist for sure, and I am just, the way he used his falsetto within this album entirely is another area I feel like that he tapped into that made it feel like there was multiple artists on this, even though there was, and then even more. He really brought it on this one. And yeah, like you said, the man's music is one thing. The type of person he is another. And this album is something else as well. Yeah,
I agree with you, man. It brought me back to me getting ready to go to the club back in the early 2000s, where we leave the house at 10 o'clock at night. Where there's an after party, where we're all hunting girls. This is what, this is a cheek clapper. And I'm not talking about your face cheeks. This is the one that you're going to go out and make a baby to if you can still shoot babies.
Iced out for the party. Come on, bro.
Yeah, no, it's fucking awesome. It's one of his better albums. I wouldn't say it's his best, but it's definitely one of his better albums. So I'm happy you brought that up. Jake, what about you?
My number 3 is a band I just recently found, and I feel bad because they've been out since 2009, but it's one of those bands that you stumble across, and you're like, where the fuck have I been? Why have I not heard this? And it's Savior, and I could be butchering the name, but it's Savior. I have talked about this band tons of times to you, B-Word, tons of fans of ours, everything. The album Shine and Fade. It's only 8 tracks, but they're 8 unforgettable fucking tracks. The artwork's great. They're a melodic post-hardcore band from Australia, but they just, I don't know. I just can't get enough. The song Younger, it flows so well into itself, if that makes sense. The way they sing, and when I say they're a melodic post-hardcore band, they are melodic. They do a very good job of actually having that and not have 3 subgenres put onto them just because you have to put them in a box for every song. Every song they are in all those subgenres, and they bring it together and make it tight. Everything sounds like it belongs. It's not like when you have a hardcore band that tries to sing, or you have a singing band that tries to scream, or you add double bass or you add piano. everything they do on this album has a purpose, and it sounds so well. And I can't get enough of this fucking band. I was so happy I found them. Shine and Fade by Savior. Fucking awesome. It's so fucking good.
I've got a lot of stuff to add to since doing this category. I love it, gentlemen.
This is good. We're on number 2, correct?
Number 2.
All right. So again, no particular order. It's The Weeknd, Dawn FM.
Interesting. Okay.
I like The Weeknd.
Okay.
I've liked The Weeknd for years. I like the fact that he takes risks in his music and in the story that he's telling, to the point that people don't know if he got plastic surgery. You know what I mean? He's a weird cat. I think that he's artistically, I think that he's very much a mix of, let's say, Kanye and probably Chris Brown. From a socially kind of guy, he gives me very much like a Kanye and a Michael Jackson type of vibe. He's willing to take risks, and I enjoyed Dawn FM. Again, is it his best album? I would say no, it's not his best album, but I enjoyed the shit out of it this year. The Weeknd, Dawn FM. I think that The Weeknd is an underrated performer. I had the ability to see him in person perform, and he was legit. So,
do you think he's underrated though? I mean, the man headlined the Super Bowl.
Yes. Well, I guess it's subjective, right? Because I do think that he's underrated for me, because I feel like most people within mainstream hate mainstream, right? Like they're looking for people to do something different. And I think that he does those things that are different. But I feel like from what I'm seeing in society, like that he's celebrated, but he's also pushed down because it's just The Weeknd. Does that make sense?
That does. I think he's dope. I mean, I think he's dope and good performer, can fill arenas, and he's very consistent album wise. I mean, I heard his project, I liked it. It just, was probably like 3 or 4 spots out of my top 10 for non-rap. But
yeah, let's throw it over to Jakey, baby. What you got, bud?
Band out of Japan. Ever since I went to college and lived with foreign exchange students from Japan a lot, I fell in love with a lot of music over there, and it's never gone away from me. Cold Rain, Non-Negative. Great fucking rock album. Great rock band. You can tell it's from overseas, but there are times you can't. And what I mean by that is influences in their music, not so much like The Who, that Mongolian metal orchestra band, but enough to where you could tell there's inflections of Japanese influence. And it's just a fun, non-skippable banger of an album. It's just one of those throw on, I drive, I can sit in my office and work to it. I could go for a walk with it. I can do anything to this album. I can bang my wife to this album. It's just a fucking good fucking album all around. So Cold Rain, Non-Negative makes number 2 for me for the year.
J-Rob?
Number 2 for me is Asake, Mr. Money with the Vibe. Asake is a Nigerian Afrobeats musician. This man's album, I want to say it's how long here? 12 songs, 30 minutes exactly. And you throw this on driving, you got a 30-minute drive to work. You want to make that drive go quick. You want to make that drive be something where you're going to be moving in the lanes. You might be dancing a little bit. Someone might cut you off. He's going to have a song that's going to chill you out. You want to have a song where you're chilling and dancing with your wife. You want to have a song like where Jake said, where you're fucking your wife too. This can all fit. This is 30 minutes of just the same drum line as, Nigerian island music tends to do. But the same drum line branches off into so many other vibes and so many other elements of music. He speaks 2 different languages throughout the song, which is his native Nigerian tongue and then his own mix of English. And sometimes the inflection is so strong you still can't understand what he's saying. It's 12 songs, 30 minutes. It's crazy how quick it is and how much you go through, because it seems that sometimes one specific DJ mix, but then you hear each song isolated after you're getting used to the album. And it's amazing. I could use this album in so many areas of my life to where it just acts as a soundtrack, as a background piece, or the basis for whatever I'm doing. Asake, Mr. Money with the Vibe. Nigerian music, island music is making its way into the mainstream and very, very accessible means.
It is.
And I'm so glad to see it. All these other forms of music that we're bringing up here today, I mean, none of us, I hope, or not, I don't want to say I hope, because that's wrong, because I do appreciate what he's done. I don't think any of us have Bad Bunny here, right now, but
No.
what's happening with him and all the different people in this vein, it's cool to see just that available so easily to all of us.
B-word, he said island vibes, not island boys. Don't get excited.
My bad, yes.
Because you're an asshole that likes that shit and sends it to me all the fucking time still, so fuck them and fuck you. We're on number one now, right, boys?
Yes, sir.
Album of the year.
I'm going to let B-word do it because his number one's not really a number one. He sort of gave his away so he can just name this album. And then we'll let J-Rob unveil his best of 2022. But B-word, what's in order now? What's your number one here?
So for the last album that I'd like to present for non-hip hop albums of 2022, it's Nickelback, Get Rollin'. I am a huge fan of Nickelback.
So am I, but
it definitely makes my top 10. So yeah, I mean, we recorded on The Hut. When this episode comes out, The Hut will have already aired. That was my favorite album of the year in that genre. So again, I picked multiple different genres out of this. It was actually between this and Slipknot, which I know that Jake was going to hate on anyway. So I ended up going with Nickelback.
Oh, I like Nickelback. Don't get me wrong. I own every album they have. It's one of those everybody loves to fucking hate them, the hate or don't. But if you would have said single and gave me San Quentin, I'm all for you.
No.
But not the whole album, dude.
Love the album.
But it's your opinion. Good for you.
Yep.
To be fair, I have not heard their 2022 album. And look, Nickelback, just to me, what it seems like, and this is, of course, how we get into opinions of music. It seems like, I don't know, like low-hanging fruit in a sense, but I haven't heard the 2022 album. Yeah. I say that, I need to say that again.
It's the same thing, but I'm a huge fan of Nickelback, so it fits the vein of what I was looking for. Again, mine are not in any particular order. I've got some metal albums on here. I've got some pop albums on here. I've got some country albums on here. This one I feel is a rock album, and this one is was one of the best rock albums of 2022 in my opinion. So,
and I'll give you said Luke Combs is your number one, so I'll give you that. But I'll go before you, J-Rob, because you're the guest. But my number one is a band I also just recently found, and it's Lionheart. Welcome to the West Coast, Part 3. If you want to just go back to that old school hate breed, fuck yeah, just get hard, yell the same thing over. Old school fucking California hardcore. Let's throw down in a pit really quick. Fucking killer. Every track, just it is what you're getting. Just yelling, the background noise. Ice-T on the song "Live by the Gun," fucking killer track. Jamie Jost on it. Fuck yes, love this band.
What's so funny, bro? When I bought my Palisade, right? I bought a 2022 Palisade, first brand new car I ever bought in my life. First dealership I went to that day out of the 4 that I visited. I first went to a Kia dealership. He threw that Ice-T song on when he wanted to show me the sound system in the car. And I didn't expect it. Like, he looked like a Mexican version of B-word. And he threw that on. And I just didn't expect it. And it was very well welcomed. It was awesome. I was like, okay. Like, he was awesome. Shout out to Isaiah over there. But yeah.
It's my album of the year. I can't get enough of these guys. It reminds me of why I got into the music I got into. It's enjoyable. I can't skip a track. And you know what you're getting. And it's a lot of fucking fun.
All right, J-Rob.
Number one has got to be Polyphia. Remember that you will die. Polyphia is a P-O-L. Let me spell it out. Polyphia. They have 2 guitarists. Right, and they also have a bass guitarist. They have a drummer, but their 2 guitarists are Tim Henson and Scott LePage. Bro, the progressions that these dudes make almost seem impossible and fake. When you watch these guys do live videos of their fingers moving, that of some person who has arachnophobia would be terrified of because of the scapes that they're able to make remind you of spiders moving across, walls. It's unbelievable how they're able to make a guitar sound the way that they do, with the speed of it, with the cadence of it, with the tempo of it, the way they can vary it. And on this album, not only did they keep tapping into all the different melodies that they can extract out of a song, but they even expanded it further with different features that they want to include because they understand, okay, we got to tap into other forms of music this year. We need to let other genres in because we have I don't want to say mastered because I feel like that's something that can never be done in the scape of music, but something that we have done so well, we want to expand on it. And that's something that they did with this album. Purists of the band may not like it because this isn't necessarily sounds that they have ventured into. And that's fine. I get it. Like we said, this is all subjective, but for me, I love hearing what this band did with this album while expanding on what they have known to be with their roots and established somewhat of a new sound that could go any way from here right now. And I just love that they haven't put a bottle cap on, or at least a restriction on where they can go as a band sonically. Okay. And it's so dope.
Boys, we've all listed 20 albums, both hip hop and non-hip hop. And there's a lot on here that I haven't heard and that I'm excited to get into. But before we start breaking some of these down individually, let's go ahead and take a real quick break, because we're going to come back and talk about best singles of 2022. And we're also going to rank our best artist. So we'll be right back. All right. So we teased it. Singles 2022. Best singles. This one was tough.
Especially because you only had 3.
I had like 15.
Yeah, I know. I'm over here with 27.
I knocked it down to 3. Jake, what was hard for you to try to narrow down these best singles?
The fact that I realized that 2 out of 3 were country, because I felt there were more country singles to come out than actual fucking albums. Mm-hmm. I feel as of lately I skip more tracks on those albums. Not that it's not a genre that I enjoy the most, but also I've said this before, and there's going to be an artist on here that I'll talk about, that the way a lot of music is going is singles only for some of these people. Yeah. And so for that, it was easy to put this guy here. But I mean, the other hard part is a lot of these albums that I'm listing, it's like, I want to pull tracks from it. Like when I listed Stormzy, I want to pull, this is what I mean, but I've already listed the album. I want to pull something from Lionheart. I want to pull, but then again, I'm like, that's the whole album. So the hard part was not being able to pull songs from my favorite albums of the year. But the easy part was, okay, well, what albums didn't I like, or who only released a single? And so there's that twofold, right? What about you, J-Rob? What was the hard for you on this?
Simply just 3 songs. Like Bieber just said before we exited it out of the last segment of the top 10 non-rap albums of the year, we have named 20 albums each. That is a collective of 60 albums. Let's assume each has 10. I'm not a math person, but somebody listening, do that. You know, I mean, that's how many songs we are talking about. And not even talking about songs that weren't a part of those albums, which are also in the mix. The hardest part is just picking 3, because 2022, I got to say it, man, it's been a great year. It really has. I got a lot of things that I'm going to add to that everlasting jukebox, and the hardest thing is just sitting here saying, what are the 3 best?
This one was tough. This one was really tough. Here's how I did it. And then I just kind of talk with you guys about how you did it. What tracks were they released on albums? Were they not released on albums? I didn't really factor that into it. What tracks have I listened to the most this year is really what I base this on. Okay. And what tracks have maybe spoke to me the most. Again, this is subjective, right? The everlasting jukebox is your definition of what these 3 songs are. Jake, did you kind of do the same thing, or how did you narrow these down?
I did it by, and I think my list will make sense on this, is 1, like I said, he only releases singles now. 2 was, did I hear the single first and did I go get the album right away? No. And I only needed to listen to that single to feel like I got enough, if that makes sense. So, and I'll just start it, because for once, they're not in order. And because I couldn't put these 3 in order, I just had to write 3 songs that I listened to a lot. And the first one is Brantley Gilbert, Rolex on a Redneck. Him and Jason Aldean, fun fucking song. It's the typical Jason Aldean gets together with Brantley Gilbert. They have a blast. Great. They both sing good on it, and it is what you get. But as the song came out, I listened to it. I was like, fuck yeah, like it. Didn't even know an album came out. Didn't even know Brantley Gilbert came out with an album this year, because I heard that track. I liked it enough, threw it on my list.
So that's on the Aldean album, because I wrote down the Aldean album earlier.
I got to check if it's on that one. I know Brantley Gilbert also came out with an album this year in October that I got to check out, but it might be one of those ones where they put it on each other's album because they collab together so much. But Rolex on a Redneck, good fucking song.
Nice.
So let's kind of switch this up, Jake. Give us your other 2, and then we'll talk to J-Rob about how he was able to narrow down what his list is.
Number 2 is Falling in Reverse. Voices in My Head, Ronnie Radke only, and has shown success. I mean, he had more streams than other people, and he released 1 song in the year. He released 3 songs the year before, and he's making so much fucking money on these songs. They're catchy. They're good. Great writing. Music videos, fucking stellar. His mental state, I don't know. He's getting a little out there. I mean, he blacked out all his tattoos. He's covered in all black with a tiki face on his chest now. He's canceling shows left and right. But the guy can fucking rap. The guy can fucking sing. The guy can fucking scream. And he puts out killer fucking singles. I mean, what, 32 million hits like the first few months it comes out? You got to be doing something fucking right. I don't know. Fall in Reverse, Voices in My Head. I mean, Octane named it as the #1 track of the year.
Fall in Reverse by who?
Reason. It's that good. Fall in Reverse, the song is the band. The song is Voices in My Head.
All right.
And this album is so anticipated by fans, we don't know when the new one's going to fucking drop.
Nice.
Number 3, a new artist I found, a country artist, but it's in that weird vein of Sumerian Records, who's always been known for metal, is dipping their toes into the pool of the country realm, and it's Rashad. And he spells it RVSHVD with my boy Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills, The Rock Mix. The song's called Cottonmouth. Him and Sam Pounds are the 2 coolest country artists I found. Southern guys, and I'll just say they're black and they make good fucking music. Good country artists that are doing something different. It's not your typical country. There is some of their own roots in there, if I could say it that way, but the song Cottonmouth is fucking awesome. Spencer Charnas, again, does no wrong. He is my #1 guy from Ice Nine Kills. He can go on any style of music and sing. I mean, he guested I don't know how many fucking tracks this year. And that is a killer fucking single. So those are my 3.
So J-Rob, how did you narrow these down?
It would have, like you said, B-Word, it ultimately comes down to what I listen to the most and the different way. And for me, music is a way, like there's times where I'll play certain music to fit the certain mood. And I've noticed, like, as I'm having some of my family and, wife's family over for New Year's Eve. We're doing a party right at our house, and I've made a playlist. The playlist is only of songs that came out in 2022, and I'm noticing what makes these albums that doesn't necessarily fit a playlist, right? So I wanted to think about the songs that speak the most to me, but that also I feel like would fit any other area or atmosphere or position that I'm in or something that I am doing or activity. And that was kind of how I constructed this and what I mostly play the most throughout all of those. And one of them that I'm going to have to put in there, the first one I'll mention, I had talked about him earlier, FKJ, French Kiwi Juice, the multi-artist, the multi-instrumentalist. He has a song called Greener with Carlos Santana that I was talking about earlier. That song is just, he uses all of his talents as a multi-instrumentalist, but he doesn't dominate the track in any way. He does such a great job of creating this soundscape for Carlos to flourish. And like I said, Carlos does what he does. So that's got to be in my top 3, probably number 3 if I was to, rank them. Number 2 is going to have to be Polyphia Playing God. That was one of the 2 lead singles that they released before this album dropped, who released my #1 non-rap album of the year. I mean, this is really where the 2 guitarists made a statement of, come see me if you think you can play the guitar like me right now. With the tempo that I do, maybe not somewhere that people like it, but just the different ways they progress from key to key, the different ways this song moves through riffs and it moves through patterns. It's unbelievable. And I think with the juxtaposition of the album being Remember One Day You Will Die, the first single they're going to release is Playing God. It's pretty cool duality that they exhibit there. Number 1 of the year. It's an album that I didn't have in my top 10. It just missed it. I think somebody else mentioned it earlier on the pod during the rap segment. Number 1 song of the year. Vince Staples, When Sparks Fly.
Okay.
That song, the sample that he uses over that beat is, I feel like I could float forever to it. If our soul was to leave this earth and then go off into whatever it is that happens when you die, I feel like that beatscape would be what exists as you ascend away out of the atmosphere. It's so pretty. And then the metaphor that he gives on that song about what it's like, he talks about when you first listen to it, you think it's him talking about a relationship in a similar vein to Tupac's Me and My Girlfriend, in a similar style and a similar message to Nas's, what was it? I Gave You Power, where he talks about what it's like to be a gun. But this one is like a love ballad from a gun to a person. So in one way you could hear it to where all the songs, or not all the songs, but all the references and all the lyrics match up perfectly to a lover in a relationship. But if you think about it in the real way that it's designed, it matches up to gun talk and how all of that metaphor blends. I feel like no one's done it like this, and the soundscape that he gave it, it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. So that's my number one song for the year.
I dig it. So this was very tough for me too. Guys, this was a challenge. It's a challenge I appreciate because I feel like this is a really good discussion. No particular order. I've got Morgan Wallen, Thought You Should Know. It's a song to his mom. And I relate to this a lot because my mom and my dad were divorced, and I live with my mom primarily. And so when I say that my mom raised me, it's in no disrespect to my dad. I just live with her primarily. And some of the verses in there where he's talking about, hey mom, I thought you should know, that he's basically saying the prayers that you prayed for me worked. Like, I'm actually succeeding in life. I've got some things going on. I'm getting better. And he's acknowledging that there was those shortfalls, those shortcomings, which may relate to him in person, with some of the scandals that he's had, but he's talking about growth. And for me at my age and where I'm at in my life, I really appreciate the metaphor, if you will, of growth. And so Thought You Should Know by Morgan Wallen is definitely on there. I enjoyed Cooped Up by Post Malone probably way too much. I listened to this song on repeat. I listened to all of the versions of this song. My favorite is the one when he's got is it Sick Kid? Who's the DJ who did it with Return of the Mac? He did
that one's dope.
Yeah, that's just the amalgamation of those two together just made me so happy. But Post Malone, Posty is one of my favorite artists.
Dude's got melodies, man.
Man, he is so talented, and he's a Cowboys fan, so I appreciate that too. So my other song on here, Luke Combs, Tomorrow Me. So Tomorrow Me, again, very similar to Morgan Wallen. He's talking about he's basically talking about how he himself, the tomorrow version of himself, wouldn't appreciate it if he made this choice, or he should make this choice better. And he's basically saying that he's focusing on tomorrow me. And I relate to that a lot. I mean, we as adults, we make a lot of decisions that affect our tomorrow me, right? And so that was a really good thing there. You guys, we're into our last topic, and I'm just gonna stop and say mine. But we're going to talk about best artist of 2022. I've given him away a few times now. Luke Combs, for me, is the best artist of 2022. I've spent entirely too much time listening to his albums, all of them. But again, having the experience of being able to see him live, being able to listen to his songs, relate to his songs, really enjoy his music and his art. Luke Combs, to me, is the best artist of 2022. That's in no way disrespect to any other artist that's putting out very creative stuff out there. But to me, again, subjectively, Luke Combs is the best artist of 2022. If I had a 1B, I'd put out Posty, just because I absolutely love Posty. If those two were ever in a concert together, I would be broke getting concert tickets. Like, that would just be phenomenal. So, J-Rob, we'll save you for last, if you're okay with that. And Jake, I'm going to toss it over to you. Who's your best artist?
My best artist is a guy who didn't come out with his own album this year, and it's Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills. And the reason is he's guested, as I said, on so many people's songs, and it's been every type of damn genre you can think of, and he's killed it. If he came out with an album this year, I was going to probably buy it. But seeing his come up from the year 2000, when they were a shitty little pop punk band doing nothing, to where they are now as post-hardcore and melodic, his singing style, his range, his screaming, but his writing, and whether he's writing on a country track, whether he's writing on a metal track, he's everywhere right now. He's got another comic book coming out. His music video style is told in the forms of stories. Last year when they came out with the Welcome to Horrorwood, the Silver Scream Part 2, every track was based on a horror movie from both albums, and they're written so well. And then to come out with all the videos, and some of them hit this year, to where it was a whole a murder mystery of him killing his girlfriend with a psychiatrist. It's just It's phenomenal what he does. He also starred in a movie this year. So the reason I'm making him Artist of the Year is he starred in a movie. He's got comic books coming out. He's got books coming out. He's guesting everywhere under the fucking sun. He's touring all year. To me, I mean, he's the hardest working guy in the genre of music I love, and and everything's coming out. It's not one of those guys who's like, oh, I didn't like that or I didn't like this. Everything that's came out, it's not just because of the fanboy thing. It's just good fucking work. It's a great artist to watch. And so I'm looking forward to what they come out with next year, looking forward to seeing them again live because I've seen them so many times, and I've seen them grow over the years, and every time he grows, it just gets better. So Spencer Charnas would be my Artist of the Year.
My Artist of the Year would be, he landed at I believe, the 6th spot on my non-rap list with his album that year, which was Blast, BLXST. And I did my best to try not to, talk about him too much at that point. But the reason why I would have to put him there, not only is this album just very good and continual, what he also did in 2021, working with different producers, establishing his own label, being sure that he has creative control of everything that he does from then until now, having now stapled himself as the sound of a person who can fit in every single song you want to hear in the club, but also provide you that comfort that you're going to feel at a Black people cookout. I mean, that's what you got from this guy. That is him, full and first foremost. I mean, now he's at the point where he has collaborated with Snoop. He's collaborated with Rick Ross. He's collaborated with Nas. He's on Kendrick's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Got nominated for a Grammy as the most melodic hip-hop performance with the song Die Hard. I mean, he is on Kehlani's album. He is featuring on Burna Boy's album, a Nigerian artist. He's featuring on Fireboy DML's album, another Nigerian artist. The way this guy has cultivated a LA-based sound that almost makes you feel like he can't miss is incredible. And the fact that if you hear featuring Blast or you see featuring Blast on a song, you want to hear it. At least that is where I'm at with him right now. For him to develop that gravity and establish it in 2022, yeah, Blast is the Artist of the Year for me.
You guys, we've had damn near 2 hours, if not a little bit over, worth of content here. Completely revisiting 2022 from a musical perspective. And J-Rob, I don't know that we planned to go this long, but damn, the conversation was legit.
This was so much fun.
I love the fact that we were able to have you on here. I'm excited that we'll be able to partner with you again as we do the Super Bowl show come this month when this airs. It'll come out the beginning of February probably or the end of January. Regardless, the respect level for both Jake and I of you is just through the roof, man. And being able to be friends with one of Jake's friends has been a privilege. So definitely thank you very, very much again for coming on. With that, guys, J-Rob, you want to plug anything? You got anything going on?
The Cover Zero podcast, we're still rolling. You guys say the cover O.
Yeah.
It's the cover zero. It's all good. It's all good. It does.
I
know you do. I've told you this before. You still say the cover O, and it doesn't matter. But either way, so if someone types O and zero, either way, it's the number, it's the circle, it's the hoop. Dame does the whole thing of O and zero. So I get it. But gentlemen, I got to say this before I talk about myself. To see where you guys have brought this podcast right now, with what you have done with the Bleach Brothers podcast, I need to catch up with you guys now. Okay. The Cover Zero podcast needs to catch the Bleach Brothers. When we first started, I had, sponsors and all that sort of thing. Now you guys have went and just paved over what we've done and made your own way. And it's awesome. It's awesome, gentlemen. And I love that we can do this and that I'll continue to be on the show with you guys, but I respect 100% the progress you guys are making, and do not stop at all. Keep going. You guys deserve it.
Thank you. I was going to say, our fans probably would all come over if we said the fucking name of your podcast correctly. That's probably what happened. Is they're just not even coming over because they're like, I can't fucking find it. Jake says
the cover
all the
OH.
time.
I'm not finding nothing.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But no, it was a great time. It was a little long. Thank you everybody who listened and tuned in. It's always fun talking music heads. I love when we do this, J-Rob. You are welcome back anytime.
100%.
B-word a long fucking time. Feel bad for you for editing, but good luck, brother. And with that, I'm just going to say thanks for all the dirty talk and come back and get sanitized.